Well, the rock and roll time machine we've seen so far in early 2026 continued this week. In the past few weeks, I've had the pleasure of reacting to new singles from the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, and now we have Deep Purple, a song called Arrogant Boy from their forthcoming album, Splat. Gotta love that title. Anyway, this one is a real rocker, folks. The boys are not going soft on us in their old age. Check it out. Wow, that's very fast. I mean, you could say this is in the tradition of things like Speed King or Highway Star, but this actually feels more to me like a Randy Rhoads or Jakey Lee type thing. Think of some of those early Ozzy riffs. Crazy Train, I Don't Know, Bark at the Moon. It's that palm-muted chugging A string that does it.
Read a book in his life. He looked like shit, face didn't fit. He only ever went out at night. When Billy got invited to parties, he would always dress to annoy. Billy fancied his chances, and they called him an arrogant boy.
Of course, Ian Gillan has lost a lot of that soaring high end he used to have on his vocal range. But he still sounds good, he's staying within his range, and he's still got that same cocky, irreverent attitude, which is perfect for a song called Arrogant Boy. Not just the sound of the voice and the approach, but the lyrics, which we'll discuss momentarily. By the way, there was a nice little E blues scale riff in the chorus. Before we carry on into this song's crazy solo section, let's briefly go over Deep Purple's current lineup. There have been countless lineups over the years, as any Purple fan knows. Obviously, we've got Ian Gillan on vocals. We just saw him there. Roger Glover on bass. Ian Pace on the drums. I've mentioned this before. He's the one and only member of Deep Purple who has appeared on every single album over the years, so he keeps his streak going with this one. Then we've got Don Airey on keyboards, a journeyman rocker who has played with Ozzy, Rainbow, and just about everyone, it seems, over the years. And finally, Simon McBride on guitar. So I've jumped ahead to the second chorus here. All right, instrumental break. It's a very pretty little C Lydian mode melody. Lydian mode has this dreamy, soaring quality. And here we go. Here's the insanity. Classic Deep Purple style with the guitar and the keyboard doubling that part. And can I just say here again how freaking fast that part is? I mean, I feel like I can do most of the stuff I hear on rock guitar, but I was trying to play along with the recording and I could not keep up. I think he's picking every single note, which makes it even harder. If you throw in some pull-offs and whatnot, it makes it a little bit easier. Anyway, as I said, this is C Lydian. Now, Lydian mode is characterized by a raised fourth. That's what gives it its sound. This F sharp right here is the raised fourth of Lydian. That's kind of close. And then there's the descending part. The chord underneath has switched from C to A minor, and so that implies A Dorian here. So as promised, let's take a look at these lyrics. The song is about a mysterious character known only as Billy. Billy couldn't read or write. He never read a book in his life. He looked like shit, face didn't fit, and only ever went out at night. Billy got invited to parties he'd always dressed to annoy. Billy fancied his chances, and they called him an arrogant boy. So this sounds to me like the classic rock and roll story. It reminded me a bit of, say, Pink Floyd's Welcome to the Machine, not musically at all, but lyrically, Billy seems to be the rock and roll rebel type. He eschews the normal path of school and getting a solid 9 to 5, but he's got something, some sort of charisma and energy. And of course, rock and roll has always attracted this type of personality. I can't help wondering if maybe there's a little bit of autobiography in this. I wouldn't doubt this lyric describes a young Ian Gillan pretty accurately. And like Gillan, Billy seems to have become a success in his own way. Billy didn't have a choice, got buried underneath the noise. He took a deep breath, found his voice, and they called him an arrogant boy. I really love the bridge. Well, Billy going to take on the world. Now he's getting hard to destroy. He gave us strength, and now we're walking in the path of an arrogant boy. And I love that because that's really the way of the world, isn't it? Whenever someone rocks the boat, first they ignore you, then they attack you, and finally they end up following you. I kind of poked around online to see if I could find an interview with Gillan in which he reveals who Billy is, but Gillan and really the whole band were all being very coy about it. Ian says, "This is the story of Billy who can't read or write." Well, we gleaned that from the lyrics, obviously. He is unhappy with things, so he speaks up and finds a way of irritating, in one way or another, the elite. And I can't think of anything more fun than irritating the elite. Well, I'm kind of with Ian on that one for sure. It would be a joyous exercise for me every morning after coffee. Meanwhile, Ian Pace says, "It's a lovely story. You could use your imagination about who it could be about." So in the end, Billy is probably not a real person, but I agree with Ian Pace. It's a cool little story. All right, so that's what I got. I don't think this one is breaking any new ground for Deep Purple, but it's a lot of fun, a lot of energy here, and these guys have not lost one bit of their musical chops over the years. But of course, I want to know what you guys think. I know I've got some big Deep Purple fans who watch the channel. Let's discuss in the comments. See you next time.